I'll say this about this season, and let's address this. This is just kind of a lengthy topic that I don't necessarily want to go into, but I think needs to be touched on. The turnaround of the season was unbelievable, and Tennessee owes a lot in multiple ways. Strangely to say, to the University of Texas. Obviously, for Rick Barnes, they fire the guy, or sort of tell him to take a hike, and he can leave. Like Florida did with Mike White, apparently, and he's going to Georgia, but that's neither here nor there. But they sort of shuffle Rick out the door at Texas. Tennessee, right place, right time, takes him. And he totally flips the program around. But then he has those great years of Grand Admiral, and then it's looking like that might be the height. That might have been it. You know, I'm not sure that it's going to get better than those Grand Admiral years. They were so good and so cool, but even still, they didn't get over that hump. And then you have these 2 weird years with the COVID where the tournament gets cut off, and then you have the full COVID year that's just odd. And you didn't have the team leadership you needed. And then this year, I wouldn't say that it started off rough, but we were having conversations at points in the season where we said, if this doesn't get a lot better, you may have to have some tough conversations with Rick and be like, look, we're paying you $5 million, and this is not a $5 million result. I mean, we had those conversations. And then it came to the Texas game. In the middle of the SEC schedule, and things were already, I would say the tide was starting to turn. We're already having a better time by that point. But then you have a rough game against Texas. Josiah Jordan-James misses that 3. And I remember, I think right before that, writing a quick column saying something like, what's up with Kennedy Chandler? Or, something along those lines, where we were kind of saying, like, he's just, you can see that the greatness is there, but he's just not, it's not fully translating. It's not fully clicking for whatever reason. Then that Texas game comes. It's a brand new day. I don't know what happened behind closed doors, but specifically with Kennedy Chandler and Josiah Jordan-James. And I don't know which one is bigger, frankly, because the turnaround of Kennedy Chandler is obviously amazing. Elite guard play is how you win in college basketball. It's great to have a great big man, but it's so tough to win anything significant without excellent guard play. Kennedy Chandler becomes that. You combine that with Zakai Ziegler, and it just is this amazing 1-2 duo. And then you add in Scovey, and it just is this crazy triple threat where they play absolute lockdown defense, and they can shoot the ball, and they're so dynamic and so quick and smart with the basketball. It's incredible. And then you add in Josiah Jordan-James, who is having finally this career renaissance that I admittedly, I never thought he would have. I didn't think that he would ever play like this. I didn't. I thought I don't want to say that I thought he was totally cooked. I thought he would get marginally better by the time he left Tennessee, but he is the asset Tennessee has always needed. Absolutely. I would venture to say the best defender in college basketball is Josiah Jordan-James. He's elite at the biggest level. It is a sham that he did not win Defensive Player of the Year. It is embarrassing for the SEC. Because he is better than Walker Kessler at defending the basketball. He is, completely. Walker Kessler is tall. That's what he has. And he can block the basketball. Josiah Jordan-James is in your passing lanes. He is cutting you off. He is denying. He's everything that you need on the defensive end, and then he's figured it out on the offensive end. And it's everything that Tennessee needed coming together all at once, right at the right time, and you win an SEC championship because of it. It's so incredible. Whatever happened. I don't know if it was. Go ahead. Go ahead.
It's fun. It's funny that you mentioned that. Rick, you probably missed this as you were traveling and not probably seeing all this on Twitter. But Rick Barnes said yesterday that after the Texas game, Kennedy Chandler had a man-to-man talk with TJ Ford. So you talk about owing a lot to Texas. There's even more, and really, I guess that talk apparently flipped a switch for Kennedy Chandler. And I mean, thank you, TJ Ford.
And let's not get ahead of ourselves. TJ Ford led the Texas Longhorns to a Final Four. Okay.
Look at that symmetry. I mean, let's.
So thank you to whatever happened during that Texas weekend. Flip the switch. I forget exactly what the stat was. It's something like Tennessee's 14-1 since then. Just an incredible run of basketball for these Vols. Unbelievable. You just can't say enough about it. Everything clicking all at once. Everybody playing their role so perfectly. Like Fulkerson, essentially in his final year at Tennessee, essentially getting demoted.
Mm-hmm.
But he's happy to do that because it's the team. He embraces it. He becomes coming off the bench. Yesterday, he had 12 rebounds. He didn't score that much. It's 8 points maybe, but 12 rebounds yesterday. What a contribution. It was huge. They were rocking A&M on the boards yesterday. And just things like that where guys are just embracing what they need to be instead of what they want to be. And you just can't say enough about it. The development of Brandon Huntley, Hatfield, and guys like Jonas Aidoo coming in, and him being the guy you need him to be in as much of the capacity as he can be, just lanky and blocking shots and giving me a chance when he blocks Oscar Tshiebwe to talk crap to Kentucky fans. Thank you for that. Just things like that. That it is just all coming together in a borderline miraculous way, in a way that I had consigned myself with Rick Barnes. I had consigned myself to thinking it never would. And I don't know if Rick has made a change, but I will say this. I believe this was Basilio yesterday. We were listening to Basilio some yesterday. He made this point, and I want to give him credit because it's a great point, and I hadn't thought about it. It appears that to a certain extent, Rick has changed his in-game coaching philosophy to a certain extent with this set of players. And specifically, the example that Basilio used was that Zakai in that game played really bad yesterday. 6 turnovers, wasn't scoring. He did a super clutch 3.
Mm-hmm.
But Rick, in years past, he would have yanked him, and he would have put in Justin Powell. It's just like a total downgrade. We all know it. Powell's not as good defensively. He's not as dynamic offensively. Even though Zakai was playing poorly, he left him in there. He rode with his guys. He trusted them. He put that trust, that faith in these dudes to be the cohesive group that they are, and they came through. They dominated Texas A&M. At no point in that game was Texas A&M ever the better team. From front to back, from the second that game started, you had a 14-0 lead. I mean, it was it was over before it started against Texas A&M. As nervous as we all were about it coming down the stretch there, I can't say it enough. I mean, I already mentioned we had those conversations about Rick that we were sort of like, hopefully it doesn't take this turn, but it just might. That we're going to have to kind of grapple with Rick's future at Tennessee, and he embraced it, and he said. And I took that personally. And he went out and he showed us all. And thank you. And Zach, you can attest. We say it on this show. Anytime it's failing for a Tennessee basketball or a Tennessee coach in general, all we say is turn it around. And I'll happily be proved wrong. I'll eat my crow. I'll do whatever I got to do. And they never do. They never do. And Rick, now we were never to the point of like, fire Rick Barnes, get this guy out of here. He's done for cooked. It was never to that point. I mean, I think he's past that essentially. But we had gotten where we were having those conversations, and he turned it all the way around. Full 180. Had effectively the best coaching season of his career so far, I think, to me personally. He never won a conference tournament at Texas. He never did. Last time was Providence in 94. Last time he won a tournament. You can't say enough about it. It's so incredible. All the credit and more to Rick Barnes right now.